Y'all see this? 400 absences, 6 failed classes, still graduated. Anyone can do it. You just gotta believe. Is this? Or is it? We're gonna have to find out and see, team. We are gonna have to find. That's what we're about to figure out right now. We're gonna figure this one out, team. You understand? This is what we gotta know. Undirected team, we gotta figure this one out. He graduated as a failure? How? How did this happen? Undirected team. I am Dotso, the undirected guy. We're about to get into this because we're fly. I cut the hair off. 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 We need to cut off these schools and what they're doing to that kids. They're not doing them justice. They are not preparing our youth for life moving forward to help keep this country afloat. And that is the problem. Think about it however you want to. Think it's a joke. But we need these kids that are under us to be competent as they replace us in the workforce, as they replace us in the government. Although I will say the government people, I mean, they be like 90,000 years old. Like our last 2 current presidents were like over 75. So, I mean, technically, this guy just graduated at 18. He might not be the president for about 60 years. So he's got plenty of time to get his education together. So maybe not the government, but still with the main things that keep the country running, like our sanitation, our sewer, our roads, our air travel, our space exploration, our technology. We're going to need these kids to be capable and competent to help keep us alive as we get into our older years. Now, people do tend to stay a lot more healthy later into life now, so we won't probably depend on them very much for the immediate future, even though that they should be the ones that are starting to carry the torch. But eventually, it's going to be undeniable that they will have to care for the older generation. It's just the way that it goes. It's what Social Security is invented for. Now, team, we're going to go back to it. We are going to go back to it now. We're going to look at this. We're going to look. And we're going to see this kid right here. And this is real. And I know this is real. You want to know why? I'm going to show you exactly why this is real. Because of this.
You're a racist.
That wasn't it. The No Child Left Behind Act of 2001. Craziness. Let's read about it real quick, team. Let me bring it up bigger. So this was introduced by George Bush, if I'm not mistaken, which, you know, we were talking about the government and all that and them having such a big influence in what happens to the majority, right? There's always going to be people that slip through the cracks. There's going to be excellence, and there's going to be guys like this dude down below us that, you know, kind of slips through as a failure. But then there's going to be the people that are exceptional. There are plenty of great kids within the Gen Alpha and Gen Z generation. So don't get that thing twisted. We only see the knuckleheads that are presented to us, but there are a lot of very, very smart kids coming up. That's a fact. But I would say the majority, when you're not talking about the worst of the worst and the best of the best, is most of them are below average. It's just the truth. So, No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 was a landmark education reform law that aimed to improve students' outcomes in public schools by performing standards-based education, and holding schools accountable for student performance. It was passed into law in 2002 and replaced with the Every Student Succeeds Act in 2015. So I might not be super proficient in this. So if anybody wants to correct what I'm saying, feel free. I know that there was a time in life where you might have talked to your mom and there was different terms that were called flunking out, being held back, being a super senior, meaning that you'd be like 20 years old still in high school because if you didn't meet the academic standards, they would not allow you to walk with your mortarboard like this guy is right here. They wouldn't allow you to walk. This guy right here, at different points within the past, would not have walked the stage. He would not have had his cap and gown because he was not adequate enough to win or graduate. I would call it a win. But you see it right here. And it was actually weird. I think there was a comment in here where Gronk said that. Yeah, I ain't gonna go into it. Gronk said something weird, but I'll save that. So my thing is this, team. You know, what are we doing with the school system and the younger generation? Now, I actually am somewhat integrated in the school system. I wouldn't want to work for a school exactly. I like working with kids, but I wouldn't want to work for a school. Like I wouldn't be working for an elementary or middle school or high school or anything like that. However, I do have contact with kids because I have kids of my own. And also, I am official. Most prevalent in basketball. However, I do a lot of other sports like soccer and football and volleyball. And I do basketball in high school at a high level. I made the state tournament this year, or last season, I should say, which is basically the NBA playoffs of high school basketball. It's the highest level you can get to in high school basketball, basically. So, you know, I communicate with kids and I've coached and officiated kids throughout my life. And I've seen plenty of kids that continue to be on my basketball teams and they go up in grades, but not go up in education. They would constantly, I've told kids like they've been on like my Parks and Rec basketball team where it's not associated with a school. And I've told them, like, if you don't go to school, you can't play on my team. And their parents would get mad at me. Like, if you're not doing good in school, if you're getting F's and D's, and a lot of times they play on Parks and Rec because they can't play for their school. Either they're academically suspended, they don't go enough. Sometimes it's just they're not skilled enough, but that's not the main reason. And I tell them, like, if you're not doing good in school, you can't play on my team. I don't care what the rec center says. They can... I'm a volunteer anyways. They can ask me to leave. I wouldn't care. But I'm not gonna be around somebody that thinks you can play basketball and you're not doing well in school. I think they go hand in hand when you're under, I guess, probably college years. Either way, that was my thing. And I had the same expectations of my own children. If they weren't doing good in school, they couldn't play sports, which I think is kind of bad in a way because I know that kids need that as an outlet, but also it's also an enrichment and it's a motivator for them to do well. Now, they absolutely pass kids that shouldn't be passed, and I think the teachers have incentive to do that. This is kind of crazy, team. And the funny thing about it is the kids that do pass, that probably are academically okay to a degree, didn't get the other part of it. Actual life, common sense, decency. We'll see it right here when we look at this graduation. Look at the parent getting involved, just knuckleheads, like mother, like daughter. You got a woman over there in a cheetah print dress. You look up there in the top corner. Look at these two. She got a whole leopard. Is that leopard? That's leopard print up there. We'll just leave it right there for now. Although I wasn't trying to highlight her backside. I've actually been to this school. I had this school for a game last season over Christmas break. I went there for one of their Christmas tournaments. And very, very nice school. It's in St. Cloud. It's probably about 2 hours away from where I am. It's up north, away from the Twin Cities. That's Twin Cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's where like the Timberwolves play and the Vikings and all that. You know, you go up like 2 hours, about an hour and 45 minutes up north. St. Cloud is there. That's where this high school is at. It's a pretty urban school, even though it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And you can see it from the videos that we're watching. A lot of Somalis are there, blacks, sprinkled in whites, and then some different races too might be in there as the minorities. And so I was there. Really, really good school as far as the building and everything. And I would even say the kids. This is probably a handful of knuckleheads that are causing this drama. But, you know, it kind of came along with the graduation. You know what's crazy is a lot of the public schools in the Twin Cities, like Wayzata, Hopkins, Roseville, Coon Rapids, they had their high school graduation at the University of Minnesota. And there was a shooting there. There was a shooting at the University of Minnesota graduation for the kids. It was crazy. And these guys had something that I wanted to highlight that they kind of said that I thought was interesting. What is it that people are celebrating? There was no way I should have graduated. I didn't give a damn. They passed me with D's in math that should have been F's because I had no clue. I think it's been this way for a long time. It makes them look bad if you don't pass. There's government financial incentives for kids passing and an load of paperwork to them if they fail them. No Child Left Behind was a disaster. Schools are not charity. They are a business. Same with universities. I thought this was interesting, and it was something that I wanted to talk about. I also believe what his first question is, what is that people are celebrating? I've actually got a lot of pushback because of I don't really like to celebrate like birthdays because I don't think, although it is tough to be born, because if you think about how hard it is for you to beat all the other sperm, I guess, like to get to the egg and be born is like a million. It's like 1 in like 10 million or 1 in a billion, something crazy like that. Y'all know the numbers. It's very, very hard to get there. So being born is one thing. But after that, I mean, there's really not much accomplished. unless you actually accomplish something in life. So I'm not big on birthdays and all that. I'm not against them, but I'm not going to go out of my way for them. I like to celebrate accomplishments. So if I do something that is great, then I'll celebrate it. But I don't just celebrate just to celebrate. So, sure, if you graduate and your GPA is in the toilet, it's like 1.43 or something like that, whatever a bad GPA is, and you're celebrating graduating, you're going into the world not prepared. And I don't just mean it from, like, you might be able to survive out there, you might have street smarts, but you can't just survive on street smarts forever. It's going to land you in prison or jail or really struggling through life. You have to have some type of academics to be able to maintain yourself in this world at a high level, unless you somehow hit the jackpot and become like a rapper or some type of entertainer. And that is a shot in a million to be successful doing that. And he's right. They did pass him with D's. Like, most of the kids, or I'd say a lot of them, have no idea what the hell's going on. They're just waiting for class to be over so they can talk to their friends, and probably not even that, but unless they're doing it on TikTok, or immediately get back to their gaming laptop and play Roblox and Fortnite and masturbate to hentai porn. The problem with that is that they're not prepared for the actual world. And when you're in school, you get a different level of resources. Like that person said, there's a lot of financial incentive when they're in school because the property taxes are what pay for public schools. That's why in the suburbs, the schools are nicer because they have more money in property tax. Whereas in the urban cities, they have much less. They can't afford basketball uniforms. Also, the suburb schools tend to do better with fundraisers and different things like that to be able to generate money for the things that they need in their school. But there's a big difference between suburban schools and urban schools. But it was crazy because the shooting that happened at the 3M, at the U of M for the graduation ceremonies, came from a suburban school. So it's kind of really getting mixed up as far as public school and the type of decorum that's in each one. No Child Left Behind was one of those things where it's saying, like, every kid gets to pass. Even if you don't win, we'll still give you a participation trophy. Everybody gets to graduate. So I bet the the GED place, I bet they're not doing very well. Because I remember back in the day, like, they wouldn't let you graduate. You had to go get a GED, which means you had to continue high school after the fact. And they graduate you when you're 21, 22. You'll be 21 in there with 17, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds. But you're not graduating until you get the proper necessary skills that you were supposed to in the proper time. So you see him here. He's flexing what he says is a good thing, where he's thanking God. Him and all the homies. Yeah, that's your graduating class. And that's what he graduated with. An F, an F, an F, an F, an NG, and advisory. No go. I want to look at this one over here because there was some speculation as to kind of what was going on. And he actually showed his certificate right here. He blacked out his last name, but did show his first name. Crawford High School, 2025. Where this guy tried to call him out and say they're not going to give you a degree. They will not give you a diploma. But he's got his diploma right there, so this is a real thing. It's not a joke. And it's actually happening. Team, I'm actually... Do we have anything else? I did have some other stuff, but we're going to leave it there. Let's play a little bit. I'm actually wondering, we'll go on the undirected perspective. I just had to go dark on my last video. But I think I got to go dark on this one too. I want to go light. Can I go light for something? Y'all send me a good... Can y'all send me something you want me to react to that's good, that I can go light for? I can't show you the light. I want to show you the new light graphic. But I can't show you the light graphic because, like, you see what's going on. So I can't do it. I got to go dark. Got to. I'm worried, though. I'm worried. And if you look at other countries, because, we're in the United States, and I believe that a lot of things that are going on within this country are leading to its impending doom. Because we're getting too cocky. We're not working hard enough. We're not putting ourselves in a winning position. And ultimately, the others that are hungry and why we're laying around, gaining weight, not being educated, losing in many different aspects, especially from a generation of our youth, we're basically just making it a matter of time before we're overthrown by a country that wants it more than us. I think it should be a bit disturbing for everybody. But some people don't really mind. As for me, I've always thought that the youth are the most important thing and where we should really be putting a lot of our energy and focus. I think one of the main problems with all this, though, is that we've become so selfish as a people. And I'm not talking about the youth because they're only taught what the grown-ups teach them. So I'm talking about, like, I would say 25 and up indefinitely have become so selfish and so self-centered to the point that a lot of people don't even want to have kids. But when they do, they have this. They don't make the kids do anything. They allow them to do the bare minimum. And it actually hurts the parents. If your kids are incapable, you're going to suffer for it because they're not going to be able to help you when you need their help. It's kind of how the progression goes. Not saying that kids should have to take care of their parents. I don't believe that's exactly the case. However, it would be a good crutch to have just in case. You take care of the kid. When the kid's strong and at his peak, you'll be going into your, more vulnerable years. And then the kid will take up for you and help you out. That's how I think it should go. But it's not where we're at. And it's a bit disturbing. I got more questions than answers now. And that's why I want to hear from y'all, team. Y'all are the best audience on the internet. And I appreciate y'all. And I know that from this video, we will get a little bit better as a collective, as a team. And I absolutely believe that. But until then, ourselves all the way out of here. Team, the schools have really changed a lot. Like, they've taken out curriculum that was important. One of the ones, I want to know what y'all think about cursive. Do you think they should have took that out? It kind of was pointless, though. Like, a lot of people that used to write cursive, you couldn't even read it. But now, like, nobody uses signatures anymore. Even when you gotta, like, sign a document, You really just gotta print your name now. It's kind of weird, right? I don't know. Yeah. Till next time. I'm about to go try to learn something.